Welcome to the Morning Nerdy News. I'm your host, Gray Falcon. We got a lot of interesting bits of news with Cyberpunk coming out this week, Fenix Immortal coming out last week, so we've got some review information there and some other tech tidbits. But first off, I want to cover Geeky Gifts by Amber. She makes awesome hats like the one I am wearing today. You can see additional hats down below. These are all custom made by my wife. If you go over to her Facebook page for Geeky Gifts by Amber, you can also check out her Etsy store from there. Or if you happen to be in the area of one of our local stores, you can go out there and check one of those out as well. If you want a unique gift for Christmas, this is the place to go. Get yourself a mask, a hat, an article of clothing, a new scarf, whatever you want, but it is going to give you a unique and interesting gift to give this year rather than just some normal store-bought item. So head over there again, facebook.com, Geeky Gifts by Amber. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on into the news now. So first up, Monster Hunter pulled from Chinese theaters over offensive slur. And this is kind of interesting because this is not the intent of what they were producing. Basically, there's kind of a scene where there's a bunch of banter that happens, and during a translation issue, so basically this banter is occurring, and then they go in and they have to translate that. So during this translation into a translation kind of thing, trying to give the impression of everything that's going on, they accidentally made this seem like a very inappropriate slur in their language, and it has absolutely killed viewership over there over this translation mistake. Now, it was pulled from theaters immediately upon realizing what happened. So if you were there for the first day of it, it was pulled out, and they were overnight correcting the translation and getting it redone. However, the damage seems to be done, and it's unlikely that this is going to be as successful in China as they had hoped, all because of this issue. Now, this is about to come out in the US, so we probably won't see that type of issue here, and you'll be unlikely to even identify where it is unless you go through and read the article, find the exact scene, and match it up. But they don't talk about what the slur was. They just kind of reference what it's in regards to, where the slur came from, but you're not going to find the slur in here anywhere, so don't go running out to try and find that if you're just trying to get that out of curiosity. All right, and then we're going to head over into Cyberpunk news, because Cyberpunk comes out this week, and the Cyberpunk 2077 gets a 43 gigabyte pre-launch patch, and there's seemingly another update coming. So that is a huge patch, and you can see over here a screenshot from someone who already has the game preloaded, and it says the size of the update is around 43.5 gigabytes. Connect time charges may apply. So that's a pretty hefty chunk of change for a opening up patch. This game comes out this week, so I don't know if the preload that's supposed to start today for all of these is going to require this in addition, or if this is already built into that. That'll be interesting to find out. I've got to go in and do my preload today on PC. Let me know if you find out more about this on computer, and I'll report back to this once I find out if I'm going to have to do this additional patch in there on top of that, and let you guys know tomorrow. All right, then moving on. We also have information in regards to rewards, and if you buy this game anywhere, so Xbox, PlayStation, PC, anywhere that you can purchase this, you get it on GOG's website so that they get full funds for it, or you go over to Steam because you want it part of that library, you can gain access to your rewards. So what you need to do is you go over to cyberpunk.net and you go over to the goodies. So in my case, it's cyberpunk.net/en/goodies. And you'll be able to go in there and actually claim rewards. So this includes things like the music, the digital art book, digital comic, wallpapers, all these fun little items that you get for pre-ordering the game. So make sure you go over there and claim that. And now you scroll down, it shows all the different registration rewards as well. So you go in, you register your account with GOG, and you'll get some extra items on top of this as well. And we're going to move over to Immortal Fenix Rising, where we've got a couple of reviews up, and I wanted to go ahead and cover 2 of these because it seems like this game is coming out at about around a 7. If you liked Breath of the Wild and you thought that was an incredible game, this had the aesthetic of it, but unfortunately it's just not doing anything that really pushes the bounds. Basically, it comes down to it can be fun, but the puzzles can be repetitive. The puzzles can seem very easy as you get upgrades to things, and it says if physics can occasionally be frustrating within some of those puzzles. So a lot of what this game is built around with the puzzles seems to not really carry through. Over on GameSpot, they talk about the sense of humor. It kind of goes against how the plot plays out. But over on IGN, where they give their review, Prometheus and Other Gods along the way is a treat, but the Achilles heel through it, the Achilles heel though, is that so much of the puzzle gameplay feels like going through the motions instead of clever challenges. In the end, I wish Immortals Fenix Rising had tried to soar just a little higher on the wings of ambition. So if this is something that you were looking to check into, you wanted to go grab, just be aware that while the game is probably going to be enjoyable overall, it might be a little boring at times just because they didn't innovate a whole lot. And this isn't uncommon for an Ubisoft game. I mean, you think back to Assassin's Creed, and the first one was entertaining, but kind of repetitive. It didn't give a whole lot, and then it grew and got better and better over time. So I would expect the same thing with a game like this, where it's going to come out, it's getting its basis in there, but unfortunately they're not good at coming out of the gate with a bang. They're much better at letting the iterations of the game speak more for the series. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on picking up this game. And now we're going to move over into tech news, where we have AMD Radeon RX 6900 XT flagship Big Navi graphics cards listed by AIB's launches tomorrow in very limited quantities. So if you have been holding out and you've wanted the 6900 XT because you see this as a step up from a 3080, but you don't have to spend quite as much in order to go and get the 3090, this is going to be very difficult to get as far as we can tell. So watch out, scalpers are going to be fighting over this one. Don't expect to actually be able to get your hands on this unless you are there at launch and you are extremely lucky. Unfortunately, we are going to see scalpers, as I said again, or said before, and the scalpers are going to make this frustrating to get as well. So be quick. If you have a place like Micro Center, I would not be surprised if there are already lines going up for this. When the 3070 went out, I was at my store just picking up other things, had nothing to do with the 3070 at that time, and there were people already lining up that morning for the next day to acquire just the 3070. So I would expect that it's going to be just as bad for this. Now, don't go lining up at a Best Buy or a lot of these other locations because they're not going to have it in store. They're going to be online only. So make sure that you find out if your preferred retailer is going to have them in store before you go rushing out to do that. But I can say for sure that Micro Center has been very much all about in-person only. They don't want to put these up online. They want to make sure that one individual gets one, that they're not going to people who are trying to scalp a bunch of them. So in that way, it's good, but you are going to have to go out and play the waiting game and probably be one of the first few people in line if you want to have a chance of getting these, because who knows, stores might only get 2 or 3 of these, and you could end up waiting out all night for nothing. So be wary. All right, and then moving on over to the Apple side of computing, Apple is preparing Monster 32-core heated HEDT CPU to take out the x86 market. Homegrown discrete GPUs in the works too. Now, the person in here said that they fully believe that this is actually real, that they are working on this, so they are not putting it under the rumor. However, I'm going to say this is currently rumor. I would not be surprised if there is a 32-core processor coming from Apple. It would not surprise me at all. But it also wouldn't surprise me if this is something that is strictly limited to their high-end workstation computers that are often spent $10,000+ on, are typically intended for people in the movie industry or other high production industries. I doubt this is going to be something that is going into the market to actually compete with CPUs from AMD for the Ryzen series. It may be a competitor with Threadripper, who knows, and it may be something that they want out there as a server grade type of CPU, but I would take all of this with a grain of salt, because it would not surprise me that they are working on this, but not with the intent for consumer use. So we'll find out more in the future. And we already have heard rumors about the discrete GPUs and works, so this is nothing new. We are aware that Apple has very much been all about going back into full in-house. Now, last time they did this, it was done for the intent of making sure highest profit margin, but eventually they reached a point where Intel had just wiped the board with the old Apple processors, and they just could not keep up. So we'll see how long this actually lasts, because I don't know that we're going to see more than a decade of Apple processing before we end up in a situation where they're purchasing from third party all over again, because once again, Intel, AMD have vastly outperformed these, and they just can't keep up. So we'll see. We'll find out. Hopefully that isn't the case. I'd love to see this to be a proper competitor. If you're on Apple, having seamless integration between all of your devices, so you go in and you can have Photoshop working perfectly on your phone and your computer, would be wonderful. But I don't know that we're going to actually see that maintained in the long term. And then finally, over in the phone segment, we have from Oppo, OPPO, they're exploring phones with removable camera modules. So what they've done is they've gone and filed a patent, and as you can see here, it shows that you can actually pull the little camera module out of the back of your phone, and then you'll be able to set it up and take selfies with the better camera that would normally sit on the back of the phone, and still have your phone in hand to be able to see what it's kind of going to look like, be able to take that proper picture with that, just that higher end piece, set it further back, maybe give you something where, you know, you can have a little mount for it or something to be able to use this. Or even, let's say you're a streamer, all of a sudden you're out and about and you want to do some streaming. Well, you can now detach your camera from your phone, move around, talk into it, rather than having to add and carry around something like a GoPro or something else in order to do those recordings, or having that lower end camera to actually work within your camera feeds and not be able to see what's actually showing. So this could be very interesting in the long term. We'll find out more about this, but we're probably a couple of years away before we know anything if this is actually going to come true. It's a lot of these patents get filed just simply because they want them on there as they're working on it. It's something that they're doing, and they sometimes file them simply because they want to be able to sue someone else if they come out with a product that's similar enough to what they're working on before they're able to actually get that product out. But that's going to be everything for today. Remember, check out Geeky Gifts, get yourself an awesome hat. Also, follow me on here. If you've watching this over on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, and check me out over on Twitter as The Gray Falcon. Until next time, have a good one.